Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Andre here with xenomorph.com. I hope you do all well and fine. Today upcoming is of course a latest Hot Toys video review. This is the Mach 5 diecast release. It's actually the MMS400 and it has been quite a busy year until this moment here. Actually, I got a bit drawn back into statue collecting. For example, I got myself the Cool Props life-size alien bust officially approved by the HR Giga Museum and the P1 maquette by Sideshow. And then Hot Toys came around the corner with this cool Mach 5 release. But unfortunately, this baby will go directly back into the box. As you can see here on the faceplate, it has a nasty paint chip. And for the current price tag that they're asking for, which is about $600 shipped via EMS to Europe, I had zero tolerance. So I got in contact back with my seller, asked him if he could go to Hot Toys and have it replaced, and luckily he will do that. The process is quite easy and straightforward. I have to ship only the head sculpt and the full body with the fisted hands. He will go directly to Hot Toys and have it replaced. But of course I want to show you the video review first before I will do that. So on the photos that I will provide later on with my camera, I will brush over the actual paint chip so that you won't get distracted. Just as a little disclaimer, if you see a difference between the faceplate here in the video and on the photos, I actually did a bit of a makeover. Alright, let's get started with the video review on this Mach 5 figure. Alright, so here for the box is the usual Iron Man style, but what is really obvious here is the MMS400, so quite high numbers right now for Hot Toys products. It comes in this usual die-cast packaging with a styrofoam inner box, and here as you can see it's slightly designed as the figure actually comes, with the suitcase in this red and silver tones. And here on the back side just a cast, so no real surprise on the packaging, and definitely not something that would justify the price tag of over $600. So let's get next for the figure itself. Okay, here's the Mach 5 in a fully lit environment. And as you can see, the paint application already shines. It's miles better than the first release from, I think, 2011. It was one of my earliest Hot Toys figures back then. The new color application really pops on this one. You will see some direct comparison shots later on. So let's go first for the accessories, and on this, just a quick side note, some people ask where I got this turntable. Actually, I upgraded to an even larger version. This is now 40 centimeters in diameter, and this is actually an IKEA turntable below. And what I did, I had a custom mirror shelf customized in this circled version, circle shape. So basically I just taped this mirrored glass part onto the IKEA turntable, and that's how it goes. And the custom job, I think you can do with every glass customizer guy, whatever. It cost me about $70 to just produce the mirrored glass. The turntable is, I don't know, $20. Alright, let's go for the accessories. So the first latest accessories that you will see is the newly designed stand. The original Mach 5 came only with a default stand. Here you got now this racetrack design stand with a nameplate. Pretty neat if you ask me. Then let's continue on the other accessories. So here's the head sculpt of Robert Downey Jr. This is actually just a refresh or rehaul from, I think, the Arc Reactor Creation figure. I'll show you a direct comparison later on. Then as a newly designed accessory, you got the Whiplash Arc Reactor, just all plastic, no light up or anything. I don't own the first Whiplash figure, so no clue, just a little throw in. Then also here you will get a direct comparison with the first version. This is the suitcase for the suit up scene. Basically only a repaint with nicer colors. Then a battle damaged left, no, I think it's the right one, right shoulder pad. Some different hand sculpts for the repulsor action. Fully articulated fingers. And then here on the middle part you got 3 pieces that you can have replacing the middle part of the chest arc reactor on the actual figure. I will show you that later on. So these are like battle damage pieces which can be used to replace for the clean ones. And then the last accessory here on the right side is the actual left arm, which has this under racing suit shining through. It's actually articulated and has also a light up feature included. With that you have also a fisted variant of a hand sculpt. So going back to the figure itself, look at the crazy amount of details in terms of the paint application and the sculpt work. It's tremendous, and here you definitely feel the price tag of this figure. What I definitely liked are all the different flaps that you can position. So for example on the back side you can pull these out, push up these two here to somehow and to a certain degree recreate the scene, the suit up scene. And also here on the front side, especially with, I think it works only with the clean parts, you can lift up these 2 panels, and also the parts up here, I think only the one on the left, like this and like this, to give it to a certain degree the effect that he's currently just suiting up. Maybe I can give you a short comparison with the video clip from Iron Man 2. Of course, it would have been nice to have the full effect with a half-suited Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt, because if you compare this head sculpt to the actual suit-up scene, it's a total different style. That's for me one of the weak points in this release. I mean, look at the hairstyle, it's completely wrong compared to the actual movie scene from Iron Man 2. So the whole hairstyle would have been totally different in this scene, and that would have been a nice throw-in for Hot Toys to actually really rehaul this release the right way. So looking at the rest of the upper body, you can see there's quite a good amount of articulation. There's no blockage in terms of the shoulder area, so all these pads are fully articulated and you can move it everywhere and pretty close to the actual body, so you don't have some hideous gaps here and there. What I want to show you here is of course the replacement of these parts. You just can pull these out. Also the middle part, and then put in these parts here. So they don't have this flap style which you can lift up something and like this. So it will snap in with a bit of a push, and then you got a slight battle damaged armor look on the front side. On the back side below this spine piece here, you got an actual button for the arc reactor light up action. So here you see the front side of the activate the arc reactor, and we can replace the battle damage part again. The clean one set back in place. And then of course let's activate the helmet LEDs, which are of course stored inside the helmet itself. The faceplate is non-detachable. Would have been the easiest way for me to replace the whole thing, but unfortunately that's not possible, so here we go. Pretty neat. So So with this release you got a lot of freedom in terms of the articulation. Looking at the Hong Kong bloggers photos, you see different action poses without a problem. So for example, you can lift up this area, have a fully 45-degree angle on the upper body. You've got a slight crunch, it's not much but at least something. And definitely a lot of work went into the waist area here with a lot of flexible moving pieces. Now for the highlight for this release, at least from my point of view, the leg section. So if you ask me, the real work on this figure went into the construction of these legs. Looking at it right now, they look totally clean and you wouldn't believe how these actually could further interact with you. And so basically it works like this. You have all these different segments here and you can actually push or pull this out one by one. I think there are 4 parts on this side. Like this. It's a bit of a fiddly job, but you will get it done with a bit of time. So like this. And the same way it works on the inner side of the legs. Alright. I think you get the picture. And there's a last one just at the end. So here we go. And I think also these pieces here on the front side, they also lift up, at least to a certain degree, just a tiny bit. And on the back side you also have this part. And I think the last part. So in total it's about 11 pieces that you can fully articulate. And the whole magic is that it does not hinder the actual interaction with the legs or the leg articulation. So if we zoom back, you can actually still fully rotate the lower leg without any problem. So this, my friends, is definitely highlight on this figure, and I will definitely have him in this shoot up mode represented in my D12. So here a quick 180 or something, how it looks with a fully deployed left leg. And what I definitely like are all these details that are shining through on the back side of the leg. The engineering is really well done. So for me that's definitely a highlight on this figure, but again probably not worth the price tag that they're asking right now. Alright, let's go into the comparison part of this video review. So the first discussion I wanted to get a bit more light into is the actual second skin illusion. So the Mach 5 is all around this idea and concept to have a second skin armor for Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark, and somehow it did not really fit in this diecast re-release of Hot Toys. So here in direct comparison, on the right side we've got the Mach 6, quite a bulky figure if you have them sideways compared. It's definitely obvious that the Mach 6 is bulkier, but in terms of the tall and overall size, the Mach 5 is definitely not smaller. So the whole illusion of the second skin suit is not really doing it that right for me. So then I thought, why not to get a human-sized figure in? And for this I got the Articulation Tony Stark figure, which is basically coming that way right out of the box. And if you look at it in this comparison, I would have to say it's definitely oversized, this Mach 5 product. I mean, we could actually fit another half of Tony Stark right into that suit. So looking at the situation this way, for me it's not a deal breaker or anything like that. It's just a negative point that I wanted to highlight in this video review, because some of you might think that this Mach 5 suit is in all terms the perfect product, which is basically not the case. So having the Articulation set Tony figure here, I wanted to show you the actual Mach 5 head sculpt in direct comparison. So let's switch out the portrait here on the Mach 5 suit. Alright, and here comparison with the two unmasked head sculpts. On the right side, this is the Robert Downey Jr. portrait coming with the latest Mach 5, and here I think this figure is already 2 or 3 years old. We've got the Articulation set Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt. It's absolutely the same sculpt, just some different paint application. This is a bit lighter, of course it has the blood splatter going on, but same facial hair application, just a bit more richer colors. And in this comparison, of course, it's so obvious that the whole suit concept with the second skin can't really work. Just does not look right for me. So, and of course for me the hairstyle is absolutely a no-go with this release. I mean, it might make more sense with the Mach 4, which is coming, but with this racing track scene, we definitely would have had a Tony Stark with a hairstyle going down or something, where he put off the helmet from his racing suit. So that's definitely a bummer, and for that price tag, Hot Toys definitely could have invested a bit more in terms of a more individual portrait and head sculpt, if you ask me. Okay, for the comparison with the original Mach 5, I put both figures next to each other, and here you see obviously the new one definitely shines over their first release. And I think if there's one suit that definitely needed that diecast makeover or total repaint, it was the first one, because even at its release there were so many drawbacks on that figure, and I was never really happy with that one. But first, let's have a look at the Suitcases. Here you can see Hot Toys did not really invest on more additional value. The only thing that you will see here is the silver paint application on the new Suitcase, which is a lot shinier, but it's the same sculpt. So no actual die-cast pieces included in the Suitcase. Also, you can't open it or anything. But here I think for such a valuable pricey figure, I think the Suitcase as one of the most iconic pieces in this whole set would have been a cool additional accessory to have a bit more detail and maybe some articulated parts on it. So proportion wise, compared to a human body, I think the old version of the Mach 5 did a better job actually. But yeah, that's just a topic that we already covered. So let's have a quick look at this old Mach 5. I mean, look at the hideous paint job. It was never really shiny silver, it was all in this dull gray. And the wackiest part on this figure is actually this articulated chest piece. Such a weird thing to replace it with the battle damaged arm part. And here you see these are the clean ones. You still had this rubber bendy elbows here. But overall the details were already quite nice in terms of the sculpting at least. So if you see here on the back side, of course, the new one, which is now missing the spine part, let's quickly add on this. So here we go with the added spine part. It looks just more crisp and with a lot more details going on, especially with the flaps that you can lift up. These were all not present on the first release, so there's no movable parts here. Also, the whole head was totally hideous, everything covered in this gray color, and here in direct comparison the new one definitely shines. Also for the legs, you had no articulated section in the lower legs or anything, and look at this loose articulation. I mean, there's no chance I could have him stand up by on its own. Absolutely no chance. The right leg is a bit better, but also quite loose. Alright, so I replaced the battle damaged armor parts on both figures, and I think overall the first version did a more detailed job somehow. It was a bit nastier battle damaged. where on the new one it's just a bit smoked. Here's a bit more on the inner workings. And also the arm, let's have a direct comparison. Here on the original one you see a lot more of the underneath racing suit, where on the new one it's less obvious that we got underneath the racing suit, but what I really dig here is the detail work on this pattern here. This looks really nice. So yeah, I think in terms of the battle damage application, I think it's a matter of taste. Overall, the application looks of course more cleaner and perfect on the latest release, where on the first release you have a lot more of the racing suit shining through. So decide for yourself. And then one last detail on the Suitcase. So for the first release you actually got these handcuffs that Happy Hogan used to travel around with the suitcase, securing the suitcase for Tony Stark. These handcuffs are only included in the first release. I actually checked out on eBay what's the price, and I thought that they would have skyrocketed for these handcuffs, but actually I think it's about $20 US. So if you really want to have the full complete set, you could add this one to the latest diecast figure by buying it on eBay. So before I put away the old Mach 5, I want to highlight the articulation difference. So this one was really strict. You had absolutely no chance in rotating the lower ab section, nor you did have a lower ab crunch, and it was really static. So that was a main drawback on the first release. And here, just for comparison, because I missed out on it on the first articulation part, you can lift up the whole section here, turn it around, and also crunch the whole body forwards and tilt also a bit backwards. So there's a lot more freedom in terms of the articulation. So final conclusion on the Mach 5 diecast release. This is a hard one, especially as an Iron Man hardcore collector. I think it's crazy in terms of the pricing. They are asking right now $500 US plus. In some weeks when it hits US and Europe shelves, it's probably still $400 US. And I see there are a lot of good points. I mean, look at this crazy engineering on the leg section here, or the nicely constructed torso section. Also here now having the arc reactor of Whiplash going on in his left arm. So there's definitely a lot of quality going on, but it does not really justify such a huge price tag. And then another drawback that I wanted to highlight, I mean, they call it diecast release, but I think the only diecast part here is around the thigh on the front side and here on the back side. So no, I think not even this one is diecast. The only thing diecast here is around the knees, and I think this could be diecast, but it's really hard to tell. But other than that, on the torso area, this seems to be plastic. The whole head is plastic, the suitcase is plastic, the lower legs are definitely plastic. So definitely not a lot of diecast going on, and they're still pushing the numbers with these diecast prices. It's crazy. So for me, hard one to give you a buy recommendation. As a completionist, yes, if you want to replace the Mach 5 from 2011, let's do this, but everybody else, I would not recommend it. So that's my conclusion for the Mach 5. I hope you enjoyed the video review. See you next time on this channel, and thanks for subscribing. Bye guys.